how do you attempt questions in 2021 paper compulsory kind of question. So I've taken down some of the questions. Let's see if we can take some of these questions. So these are the kind of questions that you have in 10 marker. Kitna likhna hai? How much do you have to write? You have to write only 150 words or something. Okay. Take these particular questions. See, and for all of these kind of questions, right? I'm not going to give you, what to write here, because this is something that you have to generate, because it's not going to be the same kind of question. But I will tell you the principle behind, or the kind of the way that you can think about this. What you have to do is that you have to first believe that you are coming in with a fair bit of preparation. Okay, you're coming in with a fair bit of preparation into that exam hall. Now with the fair bit of preparation, how do I sort of handle answering many of these questions? So so I would suggest, okay, so the first thing that you could possibly do, generate, brainstorm. So you have to essentially start with brainstorming. Okay, now take a look at what is the question. Okay, what is the question? Now the question could be, what was that? Let's just go back here. Urbanization and tribal institutions. So urbanization and tribal institutions. You have to do a little bit of scribbling, which basically clarifies, or sort of like, exposes your mind to a little more clarity. Okay, and I'll tell you, it doesn't mean that every bit of clarity is going to strike you like immediately, but I will tell you how much it could possibly help you. So this is the question that is asked. So think about the question that has been asked. Okay, now try to create like some sort of a boundary about the things that you already know about this. Now there will be things that you don't know, right? So for instance, you're going to start with, okay, these are the sources of my knowledge. I know something. Okay, it is not going to be something. These are for the questions that you don't know an answer to, but you have to create and generate answers to this thing. Okay, there might be something that you're adding knowledge here. Okay, so this is the brainstorm. This is the amount of things that you possibly know. You might know something because you have read something, because of reading. Okay, you might have known something because of, let's say, listening. You must have heard somewhere or something, or you must have discussed with somebody. Okay, or it could have been that you have observed something, your own sort of personal observation. Okay, maybe personal experience, deprivation, and personal experience for yourself, a relative, a friend, and so on. It could even be your television or your films, and so on and so forth. Kahan se bhi, if you can find something relevant that strikes you, and it will strike you if you are fresh in mind, you take that and add all of these things to this knowledge base that you have. So now you know what are all the things that you're going to start working with. Now within this, of course, there will be certain area. For instance, these are all the things that there will be gaps also. There'll be gaps. Now we are not going to focus on the gaps, because jo nahi pata hai, what we don't know, there is nothing that you can possibly do here, right? So you have knowledge, sources of your knowledge. And when I say knowledge, okay, these are all the kind of points that you can generate. Okay, points that you can generate. My point is that do not think that what I have read in the last 5 days, because many of the questions are going to be you as a person and your experience, and your essentially your general awareness is going to basically help in creating this particular answer. Now within this also, you will have how do I put this thing? You're going to have, let's say, some questions, some points will be there that you feel like, yeah, this is just I'm going to reject this. Okay, this is not going to go into my paper. Okay, but then there will be some, and let me see if I can put it here. Okay, let's put it here. Okay, you're going to select some of the points that you have. Okay, there are some you have to reject because you don't find it relevant, or it doesn't really fit into your proper sequence, but you're going to sort of select some portions. So now what you're going to have is that you want to have, using all of these points, right? So you want to have a logical flow, logical sequence of main points for a complete answer to the question. So from whatever you have selected from this, right, take these and try to arrange. Okay, intro. Okay, topic 1 or dimension 1. Then it should go topic 2 or dimension 2, topic 3 or something like this. Okay, and then even all the way to the conclusion. Now all your ideas that you had, that you basically selected here, take this, it should go here, and then this should go here, this can go here, this can go here, and this essentially can go here. So essentially what you have done is that you are trying to understand what are the different kind of sources of knowledge that you can basically think about for the, let's say, around 60 seconds. something that you have read, something that you've listened, something that you have discussed, something that you've observed by yourself, your personal experience, television, films, any sort of this one, right? From this, what are the kind of things that you think are relevant? If they're relevant, you go just select it. But from here, you just try to have a structure. Intro me, I'm going to bring this topic, I'm going to bring this topic 2, I'm going to bring this, and topic 3, I'm going to bring this. And in fact, the conclusion should basically flow directly from here, okay, from the question in this. So this should be your basic sort of idea. Now, if I say, what is a tribal institution? Take a look at this. So this is urbanization. Urbanization, industrialization, globalization does not necessarily matter. All of these things are essentially factors of change. So all you know is factors of change. It's one of the factors of change. Okay, it is very difficult to say this has happened because of urbanization, it happened because of industrialization, and this happened because of globalization. It is like a combined package. And tribal, okay, so what are the tribals like? And institutions. If I say tribal institutions, I think the first thing that could probably strike you is youth dormitory. Okay, youth dormitory. Okay, so you'd probably have like the early Wala studies about what the youth dormitories were like, and also you would even have some ideas about the re-studies about those youth dormitories, right? So bring some examples, but the dormitories are not the same anymore, right? The buildings might be there, but the institutions are long gone, right? It has been gone. Okay, so they just stand as testaments to the old historical sort of functions that they used to perform. This is just youth dormitory. But think about what is the institution. By institution, if you have seen in your chapter number, what is it, 2.1? Okay, what are social institutions? What are social institutions, right? Social institutions are nothing. You have, go with their definition or something like this. You know what are social cultural institutions, right? Social institutions, generally it's called in sociology. Social cultural institutions, as we call them in anthropology. This is the same: marriage, family, kinship, economic, political, religion, right? Now think about this. Don't we know all of these things, right? We know how their marriages have changed. Okay, there is vertical division in the society, tribal, politically speaking, since in recent times, what are the things that have happened? Economically speaking, what it is. Now you can sort of like recruit a lot of ideas from here, from chapter number, what is it, 3, 4, right? Economic, I believe it is chapter number 3 or 4 in your paper 1, right? Economic anthropology. There is a concept called globalization and its impact on indigenous sort of economy or indigenous sort of ways of life, right? So you can talk about those things. Family and kinship, of course, that because of urbanization, either they are pushed into the urban areas or they lose their, their area becomes a lot more industrial, and because of that, they are forced to sort of migrate away from it or move to the outskirts and so on and so forth. So that basically breaks those kinship ties. So essentially, what the question is only asked is that how have the tribals changed? How have the tribals changed? And you can talk about so many of these kind of factors. So all it basically took is that you have to try to take the question and try to understand and come out with what are the things that you possibly know, what are the things that could be relevant, what are the things that could need not be relevant. It's a 10 marker. You're not going to be able to write all of these sort of elements, but there are so many such dimensions that you will be able to create. Ensure that there is a logical sort of a sequence of these main points, so that there is an actual feel for a complete answer to this particular question. And I am sure that you will be able to write an answer here. Does that make sense? Now go ahead, after this particular session, go ahead and try to practice the same kind of this thing for the others. Now, the chances of this repeating relatively very less, okay, very less, but doesn't necessarily matter. It will give you some experience. Some of the questions could also be something that you would probably write in your GS, okay, but however, you probably don't know how do you sort of make it more anthropology oriented. Again, try to follow this kind of a methodology, and you will be able to get some sort of a relevance, and be able to graph. Even if you can get all of these things, even if it had taken you a minute and a half, that is still fine. In 5.5, just push yourself very hard in order to be able to deliver. But at least whatever you have delivered is going to be relevant material. Okay, it is going to be relevant matter, and you'll also be able to, like, again, that logical sequence. Okay, and why exactly you're talking about this thing. All these things. This will be a very fulsome sort of an answer.